May sarap ng bagong ihaw in every...
Anday. Napalit yung kataga. O buwan ayud, mabalik sa dati.
I don't remember it much, but my parents have told me this multiple times. We lived in this little white house. It was very old. My parents used to always hear me laughing and playing in my room with someone, but there was no one in my room. When they asked who I was talking to, I told them it was a little boy named Omar. They thought it was just an imaginary friend, but now that I think back on it, when I was 3 and 4, I did see someone. He was always very kind to me. I would play Barbies, and he would play with me. He would draw me pictures. I would leave my books out for him so he could read while I was at preschool. I would tell him about my days, and he would tell me about his. But things started to get really weird once my brother was born, and that is when my parents started to see him too. They believe that this is because he wanted to be the only little boy in the house. Stay tuned for part 2. Here is part 2 of the series of the little boy. When my brother was born, my parents used to sense and see the little boy as well. My mom used to feel his energy sitting in the rocking chair. My brother's mechanical toys used to just start making noise. He started to show up less and less in my room, and every time he would, it kind of scared me. He wasn't himself anymore. He was mad, angry, everything. My parents believe it's just because he wanted to be seen and he was lonely, and now that I had a little brother, I wasn't paying as much attention to the little boy. My mom would wake up to my brother crying in the middle of the night and go check on him, and she would sense something standing next to her. Weeks later, we moved out of that house due to a shooting in our backyard. My old nanny, who lived across the street, told us after we moved out, she would always see something in the window of my room.
On August 3rd, 2017, the bodies of a 69-year-old man and a 38-year-old man were found by a neighbor. The two of them seemed to have died while enjoying dinner together. When first investigating, police assumed they must have died of food poisoning. But when the toxicology report came back clear, that theory was thrown out the window. From there, it quickly turned into a homicide case, but who killed these two men and why? Police found no signs of forced entry and had no reason to believe that anyone would want them dead. After some time passed, doctors were finally able to determine what the cause of death was, and it wasn't at all what anyone was thinking. During their dinner together, the 69-year-old man bit off more than he could chew and began choking on a piece of steak. He could have easily been saved by the 38-year-old man, except for the fact that he was too busy dying from a heart attack that was triggered by seeing his lifelong friend slowly choking to death on a piece of steak.
This is why you should always check under your bed. A little kid named Caleb was getting ready for bed and decided to go brush his teeth. He went to the bathroom, brushed his teeth, and told his mom goodnight like usual. Caleb climbed into bed and watched TV until he fell asleep. Caleb then wakes up in the middle of the night screaming for his mom. His mom, startled, jolts into the room and asks Caleb why is he screaming. Caleb says, "Mr. Bones won't let me sleep." His mom says, "Mr. Bones? That was my monster's name when I was your age." She then laughs and says, "Maybe he's here for me and not you." The lights shut off and the door slams. Caleb stops and stares and said, "He told me the same thing." If you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure to like and follow.
Have you ever seen someone with extremely long hair? Well, a man from Yamata Village in Japan saw a woman with very long hair, nearly down to her knees. But things were much stranger than they seemed. He was walking down a narrow street when this woman approached him, and as he walked closer, he realized that she'd been smiling the whole time. But this wasn't a normal, friendly smile. There was something strange about it that made him feel creeped out. But he smiled back anyways because he found her beautiful. This would be his last mistake. In that moment, her hair rose up and stuck to him. Strands of hair hooked onto his clothes. He ran as fast as he could, terrified. He got home quickly, locked the door, but couldn't fall asleep all night. The next morning, he felt a bit better, so he opened the door to try to go to work. But he saw that on the other side, his door was covered in scratches. He had run into Hariona, the long-haired woman from Japanese urban legend whose hair can turn into hooks. She's also known as the Smiling Woman, as she usually smiles at people from the shadows and also specifically targets men who smile back at her. Comment below what you would do if you ran into her, and follow to see more.